Hi. Memories. They're a part and parcel of being human. And some memories simply enable us to function day to day, like, remembering where I put the car keys or remembering to set the alarm to wake myself up in the morning. Now, some memories, however, hold much meaning and emotion for us, like remembering my wedding day or remembering a loved one who has died. And without the ability to remember, we're pretty limited, as is obvious with anyone with Alzheimer's or some other similar dementia. But if we're able to remember, what and how we remember can have a big impact on our mental and emotional health and can determine our overall satisfaction with life in general. So, figuring out how to situate our memories in this puzzle of our life is pretty important. Now, memories have to do with the past. Sometimes we consider the past like a history book. Things happened, and we recorded the events in our brain like in a history book. And when we need to, we simply thumb through the recorded pages of our experiences and find the memory we're looking for. But, of course, it's not that simple. First of all, our perception of any event is only a partial picture of what happened, since it's impossible for one person to observe everything about any event. Even when someone writes the history of an event and tries to capture the whole picture, it's still incomplete. Some details are included in that story and some are left out. And history is always written from a certain perspective, often to convey some meaning about what happened. As an example, the question, were the people moving west across this country in the 1800s brave pioneers, taming a wild frontier to make this country strong? That's one view of that event, that history. Or were they simply taking land away from the indigenous residents, which is another description of that event? And it's common experience for people to remember a shared experience in totally different ways, remembering the same event with different descriptions. Siblings do this often when remembering shared childhood experiences. I know I've done that with my brothers and sister. The past is not a thing. It doesn't really exist. It's gone. It's over with. What does exist, however, is our memories of the past. And that's good news and bad news. The bad news is that our memories are inaccurate and incomplete, due to basic human limitations. And we tend to accompany our memories with our personal biases and attitudes, which further hinders the true accuracy of whatever is remembered. The good news, however, is that since our memories are ours, we have some ability to work with them in ways that help us in our day-to-day life. Finding ways to work with memories is crucial if we're not to let them interfere with living a happy, peaceful life. One thing that helps in this regard is to take all of our memories with a grain of salt. If I can admit that a particular memory I may have may not be absolutely accurate, I may be able to temper an argument I'm having with someone who remembers that event differently. Doing that can keep the argument from damaging the relationship. Another strategy is to be aware of the difference between the memory and the meaning we place on that memory, what happened. This is especially important when remembering feeling hurt by someone, by what someone said or did. We tend to automatically intertwine the memory with our interpretation of what happened. For example, I remember someone saying that they didn't like my homily. That's the memory. Now, the meaning I put on that is really up to me. unless I get more information on their motivation. I can choose to believe they didn't hear clearly what I had to say, or that they just dislike me, or that I must not have done it the right way, or so on. I can put whatever meaning I want on that. The meaning I choose to connect with that memory will determine what emotions I feel. We may not have much control around choosing a memory. We have those automatically. But we do have some control about the meaning we ascribe to those memories. Understanding the difference in this regard is very important for our mental and emotional health. Now, memories can also be dangerous if not dealt with. Many soldiers have awful memories of combat and suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Sometimes the memories are so painful that a person tries to shut them out of consciousness in some way, often using alcohol, drugs, sex, or some other powerful thing to distract them from the pain. But the memories and the pain don't go away and often resurface in flashbacks, depression, or sudden uncontrollable rages. Anyone who experiences any kind of trauma, actually, can be in the same situation. What helps is to go into the memories little by little, often with the help of counseling, acknowledge the pain, find more helpful ways to relieve the pain, and challenge any unhelpful meaning the person may be placing on the memory. Like, for example, I'm a lousy human being because of what happened. We can't do anything in the past. It's done and gone. But we can do something about our memories of the past to make our life better. In the same way, we can't do anything about the future. We can't control the future. But we can do something now about making our lives better in the future. Life is much more pleasant when we keep our focus on what we can do in the present rather than what we can't do about the past or fear what we will do in the future.